Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshulmritamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be starting a new chapter from Antya Lila, chapter number 4, titled Sanatana Goswami Visits the Lord. Text number 1. When Sanatana Goswami returned from Vrindavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu affectionately saved him from his determination to commit suicide. Then after testing him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu purified his body. So in this chapter initially, today we're going to see about how Sanatana Goswami, he was in Vrindavan, and from Vrindavan he starts traveling towards Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now along the way, from going from Vrindavan to Bengal, to Orissa, to Jagannath Puri, as he's passing through the Jharikand forest, he picks up a certain disease. And due to that disease, what happens? Sanatana Goswami's whole body, sores start developing throughout his whole body. No ordinary sores, from all these different sores from around his body, some liquid, foul-smelling liquid starts coming out. So he picks up this disease and his whole body is itching due to these sores as he's traveling from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. And as he's suffering through his disease, he's thinking that this body of mine is so useless, While I have this disease, I can't do much service. What is the use of my life if I can't do any service? And when I go to Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lives very close to the Jagannath temple. And near the Jagannath temple are all the pujaris of Lord Jagannath, all the servants of Lord Jagannath. And if I go to Jagannath Puri to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then I'll come in contact with the close servants of Lord Jagannath. I will come in contact with the pujaris of Lord Jagannath. And because I'm so sinful, I'm so fallen, I will contaminate all the servants, I'll contaminate all the pujaris of Lord Jagannath. Because I have this disease. And this way I will become an offender against the Lord. I will become an offender against the servants of Lord Jagannath. So in this way he was lamenting, Sanatana Goswami, and he was thinking that, what is the use of my life? I have this disease, I can't do much service with this body, and I'll contaminate the servants of Lord Jagannath when I come to Jagannath Puri. When they come near me, when they touch me, they'll be contaminated. So in this way he was lamenting and he was thinking, best thing I can do is just commit suicide, just give up this body. This body is useless for the service of Krishna, for the service of Mahaprabhu and Jagannath. So then he starts planning that when I reach Jagannath Puri, what I'll do, during the Ratha Yatra, I will come in front of the cart of Lord Jagannath, jump right in front of the cart of Lord Jagannath and commit suicide by being run over by the wheels of Lord Jagannath's cart. So for those of us who've seen the Ratha Yatra in Jagannath Puri, it's a huge festival, and the chariots of Lord Jagannath is very, very huge. And Prabhupada explains in one of his purports that it was kind of a custom back then that anyone who would give up their life under the cart of Lord Jagannath, it was said that they would go straight back home, back to Vaikuntha. So, and many people used to do like that. So this was what Sanatana Goswami was thinking, that my life is useless, I can't do much service, I don't want to contaminate the servants of Lord Jagannath when I go to Jagannath Puri, better I just give up this body by committing suicide. So in this way he was thinking, and he arrived in Jagannath Puri, and in this chapter we'll see how Mahaprabhu will correct Sanatana Goswami. Mahaprabhu being Antaryami, Mahaprabhu being the super soul in the heart of everyone, he could understand what's going on in Sanatana Goswami's mind. He could understand that Sanatana Goswami wanted to commit suicide. So then Mahaprabhu, very mildly, he corrects Sanatana Goswami by telling him that if I could attain Krishna Prema, if I could attain Krishna by committing suicide, then I would commit suicide millions and millions of times. But Mahaprabhu says, this is not the way to attain Krishna. The way to attain Krishna is not by giving up one's body, not by committing suicide. There is only one way and one way only by which we can attain Krishna's mercy, and that is through devotional service. And then Mahaprabhu starts quoting different verses from the Shastras, explaining how the only way we can attain Krishna's mercy, is by engaging in bhakti, is by engaging in devotional service. And Mahaprabhu tells him that committing suicide, giving up the body, that's not the way. If this was the way, then I would happily commit suicide millions and millions and millions of times. But that's not the way. Then Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami that this body you're thinking of giving up, this body doesn't belong to you. It's not your property. You have already surrendered your life onto my lotus feet, and because you have surrendered your life onto me, your body belongs to me. It's my property, not your property. So how can you give up something which doesn't belong to you in the first place? Only if something is your possession, you can give up or do what you like with it. But the very body you're using, it's actually my property because you've surrendered your life onto me. So how can you give that up? How can you sacrifice or let go or destroy something which isn't your property, is someone else's property? So in this way, Mahaprabhu very nicely explains to Sanatana Goswami, pacifies him. And from this, again, we learn very important lesson that as servants of Shri Radha Gopinath, servants of Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual masters, because we're surrendered onto their lotus feet, our life belongs to them and our body belongs to them and is meant for their service. And it's our duty to take care of our body, take care of our consciousness, our minds, so we can very nicely serve Shri Radha Gopinath, very nicely serve our spiritual masters. So that's the responsibility we have from our side. Like many times Srila Prabhupada, he would correct his disciples when he would see his disciples not taking care of the health or not taking care of the bodies. Because the devotee's mood is that the whole focus mood of a devotee is to just render more and more service to Krishna. And the instrument a devotee uses to serve Krishna is his body. So if his body is unfit or is overcome by different problems, then he can't serve Krishna very nicely. So Prabhupada would explain that this body is meant for Krishna's pleasure, for Krishna's service. So we need to take care of this body nicely. And there's many instances where Prabhupada used to correct his disciples when they used to neglect taking care of the body. For example, in Vrindavan, one time Prabhupada, he saw one of his disciples going on parikrama or on the morning walk in Vrindavan without any shoes on. And then Prabhupada immediately told that disciple, go back and wear your shoes. The material world is already difficult. Why do you want to make it even more difficult by walking bare feet? Your whole mind, your whole focus will just be on your feet. And, why ruin your feet? Another time, one devotee comes on morning walk, and it's very cold, winter time. And he was rushing to catch up to Prabhupada, so he didn't have time to put a jumper or a shawl, a jacket, anything like that. He just came bare with a kurta. And then Prabhupada immediately looked at him and said, you catch a cold. You should cover yourself. And then Prabhupada, he had 2 chadars on him, 2 shawls. He took one of his shawls and gave his own personal shawl to his disciple. Another time Prabhupada was giving Bhagavatam class. And as Prabhupada is giving Bhagavatam class, one devotee, disciple, he comes in to the Bhagavatam class. And that time again, it's very cold, winter time. And this disciple is not wearing any jumper, nothing. He's just wearing a t-shirt. And then Prabhupada, when he sees this devotee coming in, Prabhupada, right in the middle of the class, he singles out this devotee and says, asks this devotee, that Narayan, this devotee's name was Narayan. Prabhupada singles out this devotee and asks in front of the whole audience, that Narayan, are you eating chicken? Like this, Prabhupada asked this disciple. And Narayan, he's just completely shocked at this question. And then Prabhupada asks him the same question again. Narayan, are you eating chicken? And the whole audience, Narayan himself, everyone is just completely shocked. Everyone's in complete silence. Not a word is said. And then Prabhupada again pokes him and tells him, you must be eating chicken, Narayan. Otherwise, how is it you're coming here, without wearing any warm clothes? The meat eaters, this is how they keep warm. They eat a lot of meat, they eat a lot of chicken, In this way, their body heat increases, and this way they're able to keep warm. So because you're coming to Bhagavatam class without any jumper, without any warm clothes, you must be secretly eating chicken. And that's why you're coming to class without any warm clothes on. So in this way, Prabhupada, chastises this devotee. So in this way, numerous occasions, Prabhupada used to correct his devotees when they weren't taking care of their health. And Prabhupada, by his own practical example, he used to do exercise every day. Every day, Prabhupada used to go for a morning walk for at least an hour. And that was Prabhupada's exercise. And Prabhupada also used to take massage before his lunch. He would take massage. And then after Prabhupada would take the massage, then the servant will go finish the cooking. And while the servant is finishing the cooking, Prabhupada will take a shower after his massage. And then Prabhupada would take lunch. So every day Prabhupada used to go for morning walks, take exercise. Every day Prabhupada used to get personal massage to keep his body healthy. And Prabhupada said also he took Ayurvedic medicine. So Prabhupada said these three things kept him alive. His Ayurvedic medicine, his morning walks, and his daily massages. So Prabhupada, by his own example, he was showing us that a devotee, he needs to take care of his health, because this body is not ours, it belongs to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. It actually belongs to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual masters, because we've surrendered our lives onto their lotus feet. So it's our duty, our responsibility to take care of our body nicely, to eat properly, eat healthily, do exercise, sleep properly, so on and so forth. So we can be fit and healthy to serve Sri Sri Radha Gopinath nicely, with full energy. So in this way, Mahaprabhu, he very gently instructs Sanatana Goswami in this chapter, that this body you want to give up and commit suicide doesn't belong to you, it actually belongs to me. And Mahaprabhu tells Sanatana Goswami that I have many, many big plans for you, for this body of yours. I have many, many plans, I have many, many services in mind that I want to accomplish through your body. So how can you destroy this body? So in the same way, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, our spiritual masters, they have many, many plans for us to engage us in many, many different services. So from our side, we should keep ourselves physically strong, mentally strong, and spiritually strong. So we are always ready to do service nicely for Sri Sri Radha Gopinath's pleasure. So this is what we're going to see at the start of this chapter. Text number 2. All glories to Lord Chaitanya, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Sri Rupa Goswami returned from Jagannath Puri to Bengal, Sanatana Goswami went from Mathura to Jagannath Puri, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So before Sanatana Goswami arrives in Jagannath Puri, Srila Rupa Goswami was present in Jagannath Puri. And for 10 months, Srila Rupa Goswami was in Jagannath Puri taking the personal association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at this time, while Rupa Goswami is staying in Jagannath Puri, Sanatana Goswami, he starts traveling to also meet Mahaprabhu. But it's given maybe like 2 weeks before Rupa Goswami, 2 weeks before Sanatana Goswami arrives in Jagannath Puri, Rupa Goswami, he already leaves Jagannath Puri. And that's where we are now. Sanatana Goswami walked alone on the path through the Jharkhand forest in central India. Sometimes he fasted and sometimes he would eat. Because of bad water in the Jharkhand forest and because of fasting, Sanatana Goswami contracted a disease that made his body itch. Thus he was afflicted with itching sores from which fluid oozed. In disappointment, Sanatana Goswami considered, I am of a low caste and my body is useless for devotional service. When I go to Jagannath Puri, I shall not be able to see Lord Jagannath, nor shall I always be able to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have heard that the residential quarters of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are near to the temple of Jagannath, but I shall not have the power to go near the temple. The servants of Lord Jagannath generally move about, tending to their duties. But if they touch me, I shall become an offender. Therefore, if I sacrifice this body in a good place, my unhappiness will be mitigated, and I shall attain an exalted destination. So again, as we discussed, as he's going through Jharkhand forest, he's drinking the water of the forest, and the water is not very good water. So due to the bad water of the forest, and due to not eating properly and fasting in the forest, he picks up a particular disease by which itching sores cover his entire body, and for fluid starts oozing out of all of these sores from his body. So then he starts lamenting that, how can I engage this useless body for devotional service? When I go to Jagannath Puri, I can't see Mahaprabhu because I don't want to come close to him, with this disgusting body. And I don't want to come in touch with the servants of Lord Jagannath. If I come in touch with the servants of Lord Jagannath, they'll get contaminated. The pujaris of Lord, they have to be fully clean. If they come close to me and I have this disease, they'll become muchi, they'll become contaminated. And I don't want to cause all this unrest in Jagannath Puri. Better I commit suicide. During the Rath Yatra festival, when Lord Jagannath comes out of the temple, I shall give up this body under the wheel of his car. After seeing Lord Jagannath, I shall give up my body under the wheel of the car in the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This will be the highest benediction of my life. Having made this resolution, Sanatana Goswami went to Linachal, where he asked directions from people and approached the residence of Haridas Thakur. He offered his respects to the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, who knew him and thus embraced him. Sanatana Goswami was very eager to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore Haridas Thakur said, the Lord is coming here very soon. At that very moment, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after visiting the temple of Lord Jagannath to see the offering of Upala Bhog, morning refreshments, came with his other devotees to see Haridas Thakur. So as we were discussing previously, that every day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to personally come and visit Haridas Thakur. So the general schedule of Mahaprabhu was, after coming to temple and seeing the Upala Bhoga ceremony of Lord Jagannath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would travel to where Haridas Thakur is situated, personally give his association to Haridas Thakur, and also bring Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath for Haridas Thakur every day. So just like we have, sometimes you come to temple and you want Mahaprasad, you ask for some devotee to save you some Mahaprasad, and devotees, they pack Mahaprasad and take away containers and give to you. This is one of the loving exchanges amongst devotees, giving prasad and accepting prasad in return. So not just once or twice a week, but every day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to personally go to Haridas Thakur and bring him Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath. But on this day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will see, along with Haridas Thakur is Sanatana Goswami also. So again, as previously in this Antya Leela, we saw Rupa Goswami while he was staying in Jagannath Puri. The entire 10 months he stayed with Haridas Thakur. Same with Sanatana Goswami. The entire time, Sanatana Goswami will stay in Jagannath Puri, who will stay along with Haridas Thakur. At that very moment, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after visiting the temple of Lord Jagannath to see the offering of Upala Bhog, came with his other devotees to see Haridas Thakur. Seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami immediately fell flat like rods to offer obeisances. The Lord then lifted Haridas and embraced him. Haridas said to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, here is Sanatana Goswami offering his obeisances. Seeing Sanatana Goswami, the Lord was greatly surprised. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came forward to embrace him, Sanatana backed away and spoke as follows. My Lord, please do not touch me. I fall at your lotus feet. I am the lowest of men, having been born of a low class. Besides that, I have infections on my body. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, embraced Sanatana Goswami by force. Thus the moisture oozing from the itching sores touched the transcendental body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as usual, Mahaprabhu is coming to meet Haridas Thakur, and Mahaprabhu sees Haridas Thakur there, picks him up, embraces Haridas Thakur. And along with Haridas Thakur, Mahaprabhu sees there's another person just lying flat on the ground. And Mahaprabhu initially doesn't recognize. Who is this other devotee along with Haridas Thakur who is offering dandavats? And then Haridas Thakur tells Mahaprabhu that along with me today is present also Sanatana Goswami. This is Sanatana Goswami offering dandavats to you. Then Mahaprabhu immediately is astonished and very much surprised in great delight. Oh, my dear Sanatana Goswami is here. Then Mahaprabhu immediately picks up Sanatana Goswami and goes close to embrace Sanatana Goswami. But then Sanatana Goswami, he starts backing off, saying, my Lord, please don't come near me. I am low born, I am sinful, I am already fallen. And on top of that, I have this disease, and there's these itching sores all over my body. Please don't come near me, please don't touch me. But Mahaprabhu ignores him, ignores his humility, and Mahaprabhu forcibly comes and embraces Sanatana Goswami. And here it's given that As Mahaprabhu is embracing Sanatana Goswami, the oozing fluids which are coming out from the source of Sanatana Goswami's body, they come onto the transcendental body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu, he doesn't think anything about it, he's just embracing Sanatana Goswami. Previously in Madhya Leela, we came across a similar incident when after Sanatana Goswami, previously he was put in prison, when he said that, okay, I'm going to stop working, I'm just going to fully engage in devotional service. Then the king puts Sanatana Goswami in jail. And then after Sanatana Goswami escapes from jail and starts traveling to meet Mahaprabhu, at that time, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Sanatana Goswami has a big beard, he hasn't properly shaven or taken bath for many days, and he's just dressed as a Muslim mendicant. And Mahaprabhu, again, he doesn't think anything about Sanatana Goswami's external features, and Mahaprabhu just comes to embrace Sanatana Goswami. At that time, again, Sanatana Goswami is refusing. Please, my dear Lord, please don't touch me. I am the most sinful, I am the most fallen. Please, you will be contaminated if you come near me. And at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he responds by telling Sanatana Goswami that, my dear Sanatana Goswami, you're a great devotee of the Lord, and by seeing you, one is purified, by touching you, one is purified, and you are so pure that by the strength of your devotional service, you can purify the entire universe. Not an entire town, not an entire country or planet, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies Sanatana Goswami by saying, because of the strength of your purity, because of the strength of your devotional service, you're qualified to purify the entire universe. So how can I be contaminated? By coming close to you. You're the most pure personality. By coming in touch with you, the entire universe can be purified. And then Mahaprabhu, he quotes one nice verse to Sanatana Goswami that, Toma deki toma sparsi, gai tomara guna, sarvendriya phala, ei shastra nirupana. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells Sanatana Goswami that Toma deki, by seeing you, Toma sparsi. Sparsi means by touching you. By seeing you, by touching you, and gai tomara guna, and by singing and glorifying your transcendental qualities, I perfect all the senses of my body attain their perfection. And this is the conclusion of all the Shastras. So our eyes attain their perfection when we see Vaishnavas, when we see the devotees of the Lord. Our sense of touch attain perfection when we come in touch with the devotees of the Lord. Just like during Kirtans, like recently we had His Holiness Jayapataka Swami's Vyasa Puja celebration. So at that time, devotees, they're all getting together and dancing very ecstatically. Devotees had their hands together, singing and dancing. So when we come in contact with devotees of the Lord, that is the perfection of our sense of touch. When we see devotees of the Lord, that is the perfection for our sense of sight. And when we engage our tongue in glorifying other devotees, that is the perfection of our power of speech. So in this way, Mahaprabhu, he glorifies Sanatana Goswami. He tells him that, don't stop me from embracing you. You're a pure devotee of the Lord. By embracing you, I am purifying myself. So this is the consciousness Mahaprabhu is saying that we should all have when we're associating with devotees. We should understand the value of devotee association. Every time we see a devotee, we're getting purified and we're coming closer to Krishna. Every time we touch a devotee, we're getting purified. Every time we glorify devotees of the Lord, we're getting purified. So in this way, same instance is happening now. Sanatana Goswami is, out of his humility, is going away from Mahaprabhu, but Mahaprabhu is forcibly coming and embracing Sanatana Goswami. Text 17. Seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami immediately fell flat like rods to offer obeisances. The Lord then lifted Haridas and embraced him. Okay, sorry, we read that already. 21, yeah. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, embraced Sanatana Goswami by force. Thus the moisture oozing from the itching sores touched the transcendental body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord introduced all the devotees to Sanatana Goswami, who offered his respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of them all. The Lord and his devotees sat on a raised platform, and below that sat Haridas Thakur and Sanatana Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from Sanatana about news of his well-being. Sanatana Goswami replied, "Everything is auspicious because I have seen your lotus feet." When the Lord asked about all the Vaishnavas at Mathura, Sanatana Goswami informed him of their good health and fortune. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed Sanatana Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami was here for 10 months. He left for Bengal just 10 days ago. Your brother Anupam is now dead, and he was a very good devotee who had firm conviction in Raghunath, or Lord Ramachandra. So then Mahaprabhu is inquiring from Sanatana Goswami of his well-being, about the well-being of all the Vaishnavas in Mathura and Vrindavan. And then Mahaprabhu reveals to Sanatana Goswami that just 10 days ago, before you arrived, your brother Rupa Goswami was here with me in Jagannath Puri for 10 whole months. And then Mahaprabhu then gives Sanatana Goswami the news that actually your younger brother Anupam has passed away and is gone back to the spiritual world. So Sanatana Goswami at this point, he didn't know that his younger brother had passed away, because he was separated from Rupa Goswami and Anupam for quite some time. So then Mahaprabhu reveals to Sanatana Goswami that your younger brother Anupam has now passed away, and your brother Anupam, he was a great bhakta or a devotee of Lord Ramachandra. Sanatana Goswami will now speak. I was born in a low family, for my family commits all kinds of irreligious acts that violate the scriptural injunctions. My Lord, without hatred for my family, you have accepted me as your servant. Only by your mercy is there good fortune in my family. From the very beginning of his childhood, my younger brother, Anupam, was a great devotee of Lord Raghunath, Lord Ramachandra, and he worshipped him with great determination. He always chanted the holy name of Raghunath and meditated upon him. He continuously heard about the activities of the Lord from the Ramayana and chanted about them. So Sanatana Goswami, hearing that his brother has passed away, he starts remembering the glorious qualities and characteristics of his brother. And now he'll start glorifying his brother in front of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of how his brother was such a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, how he was so absorbed and attached to Lord Ram, so on and so forth. And this verse is text 31. He was saying that he always chanted the holy name of Raghunath and meditated upon him. He continuously heard about the activities of the Lord from the Ramayana and chanted about them. In the coming verses, he will explain that although his younger brother was a great devotee of Lord Ram, him and his other brother, Rupa Goswami, they tried to preach to the youngest brother that, okay, Lord Ramachandra, he's the avatar of Krishna, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You should chant Krishna's holy name. You should talk about Krishna. You should worship Krishna. You should hear about Krishna's glories. This will have more benefit for you. Lord Ramachandra, he's just the avatar of Krishna. So in this way, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they used to preach to the younger brother about the glories of Krishna, and they would instruct him and preach to him to try and get him to worship Krishna instead of Lord Ram. But Sanatana Goswami will explain that no matter how they tried to preach him, he tried, Anupam, to follow the instructions and worship Krishna, but no matter how much he tried, he just couldn't budge his attention from Lord Ramachandra. And he was so pained that one day he just comes and falls at the lotus feet of his two older brothers, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and he, with tears in his eyes, starts crying in front of them. That I know Krishna is topmost, I know Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know that you are my older brothers and it's my duty to follow your order, to follow your instructions. I know that it's, okay, I have to worship Krishna, but no matter how hard I try, I can't forget Lord Ramachandra. I have given my life to Lord Ramachandra, I have given my heart and soul to Lord Ramachandra, and it's impossible for me to not worship Lord Ramachandra. Better I commit suicide, better I give up my life. It's impossible for me to let go of Lord Ram and worship Krishna. So in this way, Anupam, he exhibits his such deep attachment for Lord Ramachandra. And at that time, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they embrace their younger brother and say that actually you've attained the perfection of life. Because of your great deep attachment to Lord Ramachandra, this is the highest perfection. Don't worry. In this way, they pacify their younger brother. So in this verse, text 31, we're hearing about how he was able to get such strong attachment to a particular form of Lord. This is something that we all desire, to get that intense attachment Krishna Prem, that's the supreme goal of life, to get that strong attraction, strong deep-rooted love and attraction to the Supreme Lord. So the way he was able to do it is by chanting the holy name of Lord Ram and by continuously hearing about the activities of the Lord from the Ramayana and also by chanting about them. It is like Anupam, we'll see many other devotees who had strong attachment to a particular form of the Lord, and because of that, they were able to keep the Lord within their hearts. Like another example from Ramayana is our favorite example, Hanuman. We know the pastime how after the whole battle, Hanuman is called up, and Mother Sita, she is very grateful for Hanuman's service, and she wants to give something in gift to Hanuman. So she takes off her pearl necklace and gives it as a gift to Hanuman. A very priceless pearl necklace from Mother Sita. So Hanuman, he takes the pearl necklace from Mother Sita and then he just plucks off one pearl from that necklace and puts it in his mouth and just cracks that pearl. And then he takes out another pearl, puts it in his mouth and starts cracking that pearl. And everyone who's watching, they're just shocked. Like, what is Hanuman doing? He just got the Mahaprasad of the Goddess of Fortune, Mother Sita, the mother of the whole universe. She's given her priceless, pearl necklace to Hanuman, and Hanuman is just ripping apart one pearl after another and putting in his mouth and just biting it. So then one of the devotees there, they very gently come up to Hanuman and they ask him, "My dear Hanuman, why is it that you're putting all these pearls in your mouth and biting into them and breaking them? What is the reason behind this?" And then Hanuman tells this devotee that it is my principle that I don't accept anything which doesn't have my Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita inside it. So I'm breaking each of these pearls to see if Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita are inside any of these pearls. I tried the first pearl, I couldn't see my Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita. I'm trying the second pearl, like that. So then this devotee, he challenges Hanuman. Really? You don't accept anything which doesn't have Lord Ram and Mother Sita inside it? And Hanuman says, yes, I don't accept anything which doesn't have my Lord Ramachandra inside it. So then this devotee challenges Hanuman. Then what about your body? Why are you keeping your body? Is Lord Ramachandra inside your body also? Is Mother Sita also inside your body? Then Hanuman says, yes, my dear Lord Ramachandra, my Mother Sita, they are present inside my body. And then Hanuman, he opens his chest and he reveals to everyone. And right in his chest, everyone could see is present Lord Ramachandra and Mother Sita. So this is another instance of a devotee of having such deep attachment for a particular form of the Lord and how they carry that particular form of the Lord in their hearts always. Another example we're hearing from Ghanshyam Prabhu is the story of Gaudidas Pandit and of his disciple Hriday Chaitanya Das. So Gaudidas Pandit, he was one of the very close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and primarily Nityananda Prabhu. He was in Krishna Lila, he was one of the cowherd boys, friends of Krishna and Balram. So Gaudidas Pandit, he had deities of Shri Shri Gaur-Nitai in a particular temple, and he had a very famous disciple named as Hriday Chaitanya. And one time, Hriday Chaitanya, he was organizing a festival of Gaur Purnima, of the appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it was a big festival he organized, and as part of the festival, he done many different preparations for the Gaur Purnima festival, and he had invited his spiritual master to please come and partake of the festival. And he had gone onto the bank of some river and he was singing and dancing in ecstasy during the Gaur Purnima festival. And it's given that this particular kirtan led by Hriday Chaitanya was so ecstatic that the deities, Gaur-Nitai, they came off the altar and they came and started dancing up and down in the kirtan led by Hriday Chaitanya. So then Gaudidas Pandit, he comes to the temple to take darshan and he sees that the altar is empty. His deities of Gaur-Nitai are not present in the altar is just completely empty. So then he starts wondering, where is Gaur-Nitai, where are deities? Then when he goes outside, he sees Hriday Chaitanya is leading kirtan, and while the kirtan is going on, his deities, Gaur-Nitai, are dancing ecstatically in the kirtan. And Gauridas Pandit, out of his ecstatic love, he picks up a stick and he starts chasing Gaur Nitai. Because in Krishna Leela, he's on equal levels with Krishna and Balram. So he starts chasing after his deities, Gaur Nitai, that what are you doing? How can you come off the altar? What are you doing out here singing and dancing? Get back to the temple, get back onto the altar. So he starts chasing Gaur Nitai with a stick. And then Gaur Nitai, they start running here and there, afraid of their pure devotee Gauridas Pandit. And then in fear, great fear and anxiety, Gaur Nitai, they can't find any place to hide or run away from Gauridas Pandit. So what do? They jump into the heart of Hriday Chaitanya. They jump into the heart of his disciple, Hriday Chaitanya. And that's how this disciple gets the name, Hriday Chaitanya. Hriday means heart, Chaitanya means one in whose heart Shri Shri Gaur Nitai reside. So like this, there are so many examples in the Shastras given of how devotees, they carry their worshipful deity within their hearts. A reason given for Lord, like if we take darshan Lord Jagannath, it's said that we can't see the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath. So the Acharyas explain, why is it we can never see the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath? It's because the lotus feet of Lord Jagannath are hidden in the hearts of all of his pure devotees. So all pure devotees, they carry a particular deity or a form of Lord within their hearts. So how can we also get that? How can we also get Shri Shri Radha Gopinath or Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra to come and reside within our hearts? So in this verse, the secret is given, and in Bhagavatam, the same thing is explained in the second canto of Bhagavatam. So in second canto of Bhagavatam, there's one verse which explains how we can also get the Supreme Lord to come reside within our heart. So this verse goes, Shinvata Shradaya Nityam Grinata Swachesitam Kalena Natidirgana Bhagavan Visate Hridi. So Bhagavan means the Supreme Lord, Visate means enter, Hridi means heart. So this verse explains what we can do or what we should do to get the Supreme Lord to come and reside within our heart. Bhagavan Visate Hridi. So there's three things this verse explains we should do. Number one, Shrinvata Shradaya. We need to hear about the pastimes of the Lord with great faith and attention. And that's what we're seeing Anupam doing here. That every day he used to hear pastimes of Lord Ramachandra from the Ramayana. So if we want Lord Ramachandra to come reside in our heart, then we have to daily hear Ramayana. Hear about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra with great faith. If we want Shri Shri Gaur Nitai to come reside in our hearts, then we have to continuously hear the pastimes of Shri Shri Gaur Nitai. Our attraction to Gaur Nitai will increase. Our attachment to Gaur Nitai will increase. And then Gaur Nitai will come and reside within our hearts. Same way, if we want Lord Jagannath to come reside within our hearts, then we have to continuously hear the pastimes of Lord Jagannath again and again and again and again. So that's the first qualification. Shrinvata Shradaya. That we have to hear with faith. And qualification number 2 is Nityam, which means continuously, day in and day out. Again and again and again and again. For a long period of time, we have to hear again and again and again. So we have to hear with faith, and we have to hear daily, continuously, for a long period of time. And the third quality is Shinvata Shradaya Nityam Grinata Swachestitam. Grinata Swachestitam means we have to put a personal endeavor from our side to study the pastimes of the Lord. So it's one thing to just open up the book and just read, or to just come to Bhagavatam class and just hear. But Bhagavatam explains we should go one step forward and make an effort to study and analyze the pastimes of the Lord, which means to take notes, contemplate on the pastimes, in our minds contemplate, okay, what is the main theme of this chapter? What is Krishna trying to teach me in this particular section of Bhagavatam or CC? In this way, we need to put that extra effort from our side to study the pastimes of the Lord, study the pastimes, study the instructions of the Lord. If we do these three things, Bhagavatam explains, then Kalena Nati Dirgena. Kalena Nati Dirga means very quickly, just within a short period of time, Bhagavan Visate Hridi. The Supreme Lord will personally come and reside within our hearts. So this is what we're seeing that Anupam did. He always chanted the holy name of Raghunath and meditated upon him. He continuously heard about the activities of the Lord from Ramayana and chanted about them. So by continuously hearing Ramayana with great faith again and again and studying them, he developed so much attachment that he couldn't let go of Lord Ramachandra, even though he was being preached to by his elder brothers, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Rupa and I are your eldest brothers. He stayed with us continuously. He heard Srimad Bhagavatam and talks about Lord Krishna with us, and both of us examined him. Dear Vallabha, we said, please hear from us. Lord Krishna is supremely attractive. His beauty, sweetness, and pastimes of love are without limit. Engage yourself in devotional service to Krishna with the two of us. We three brothers shall stay together and enjoy discussing the pastimes of Lord Krishna. In this way we spoke to him again and again, and because of this persuasion and his respect for us, his mind turned somewhat towards our instructions. Vallabha replied, my dear brothers, how can I disobey your orders? Initiate me into the Krishna mantra, so that I may perform devotional service to Lord Krishna. After saying this at night, he began to think, how shall I give up the lotus feet of Lord Raghunath? He stayed up all night and cried. In the morning he came to us and submitted the following plea. I have sold my head at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. I cannot take it away. That would be too painful for me. The two of you, please be merciful to me and order me in such a way that life after life I may serve the lotus feet of Lord Raghunath. It is impossible for me to give up the lotus feet of Lord Raghunath. When I even think of giving them up, my heart breaks. Upon hearing this, we embraced him and encouraged him by saying, you are a great saintly devotee, for your determination in devotional service is fixed. In this way, we praised him. On this Sunday, Govinda Hari Prabhu, he was giving a nice Sunday feast class on Kulashekara Alvar, who is said to be another great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, displaying similar deep attachment to Lord Ramachandra. So Govinda Hari Prabhu is sharing some nice pastimes, how this king Kulashekara, just like Anupam, he used to daily hear Ramayana, he used to daily hear about the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And by hearing the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra again and again and again, he developed so much attraction, so much attachment onto the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. So much so it's given that a particular time came that he was becoming so much absorbed in hearing the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra that as he would hear the pastimes, he will imagine himself to be present in that particular Leela. For example, Prabhu was sharing one pastime that his priest would be reading from Ramayana, the section of when Suparnaka, she comes to marry Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra refuses Suparnaka, sends her to Lakshman. Lakshman also refuses to marry her. And then she goes to Sita because she sees, okay, Sita is the stumbling block. Because of Sita, Lord Ramachandra is not marrying me. And then Lakshman, he cuts off her nose. And then in retaliation, many demons, they come to attack Lord Ramachandra and Lakshman. Thousands and thousands of demons, associates of Ravana. So when King Kulashekara, he's hearing this, he's like so much absorbed in that pastime, he's imagining himself in the pastime. And then being a king, he has many thousands of soldiers. So imagining himself in the pastime, he thinks it's actually happening in real life. And then immediately he starts telling all of his troops and his ministers, immediately gather the army. Lord Ramachandra is being attacked by thousands and thousands of demons. My dear Lakshman and Lord Ramachandra, they're just all alone by themselves. We need to protect Mother Sita. We need to protect Lord Ramachandra. We need to protect our dear Lakshman. Gather all of armies. We have to go with full force and defend our Lord Ramachandra against his demons. And all the ministers and soldiers, they're bewildered. They're seeing their king, just acting like a madman. But they can't disobey the king. If they disobey, the king will punish them. So then they gather all the troops, and then the king starts marching towards that particular tirtha where Lord Ramachandra kills these demons. And then the ministers, they come up with a plan that what we'll do, one half of the troops we will send to that particular location and we'll get them to return towards us. And these troops will tell them that when you come towards our king Kulashekara, you tell them that we went ahead and we already killed these demons. Lord Ramachandra is safe, Lakshman is safe, there's no need to worry. So that's what ends up happening. King Kulashekara is going and he's seeing half of his army is returning towards him. And then King Kulashekara is a bit bewildered. He asks him that, where are you all coming from? And then his army tells him that, actually we already went to the battlefield. We already defeated all the demons. Lord Ramachandra, Lakshmana, they're now safe, no need to be worried. So then King Kulashekhara, he calms down. And then from that day onwards, the ministers, they tell the priest of King Kulashekhara that be careful when you read Ramayana. Whenever there is any sad part of Ramayana, you just skip that over, or you just read it very quickly. Don't go into details. Or if you go into detail, our king will be overcome by so much ecstasy that he will do something very crazy, like what he did today. So you only read the happy parts of Ramayana, and you skip over, or you just breeze through the sad parts of Ramayana. So that's what the priest was doing, and King Kulashekhara, he would just hear all the happy sections of Ramayana, and he was getting into so much ecstasy that every day he would have a festival in his city. It's given that just like we have Ratha Yatra, where the deities, Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subramanian, they come out into the public and there's a big festival. So every day in the kingdom of King Kulashekhara, it was like a Ratha Yatra festival for Lord Ramachandra and Sita. So he had deities of Lord Ram and Sita. So every day, because every day he would hear of the happy pastimes or the happy sections of Ramayana. So every day he was in great ecstasy, and he was every day celebrating a big festival, Ratha Yatra festival for Mother Sita and Lord Ramachandra. And every day he would have a big feast for the entire kingdom. But one day what happens is the priest who would read the Ramayana, he became sick and he couldn't come. So he sent his son to go and recite Ramayana for that day. And his son didn't know about the king, about his ecstatic moods. And the son didn't know that I should skip over the sad sections of Ramayana. So the son comes, starts reciting Ramayana, and out of all the sections he could recite, he starts reciting the section where Ravana kidnaps Mother Sita. And when King Kulashekhara, he hears this, that this demon Ravana has kidnapped my Mother Sita, King Kulashekhara gets into this ecstatic rage, anger, and immediately starts calling all of his soldiers that Mother Sita has been kidnapped, Mother Sita has been kidnapped. We need to save Mother Sita from the hand of this demon Ravana. And immediately he gathers all his troops and he starts marching towards the ocean, towards Lanka. And then out of his ecstasy, he dives into the ocean and he starts walking in the ocean with his sword. And he goes deeper and deeper into the ocean until the water is all the way up to his neck. And all of his soldiers and ministers, they're just helpless. They don't know what to do. If we go and stop the king will punish us. The king will cut off our heads with his sword out of his ecstasy. And if we don't stop him, he will just continue on into the ocean and just give up his body out of his ecstasy. So at that moment, his personal deities, Mother Sita and Lord Ramachandra, they manifest themselves in front of him and they tell him that don't worry, everything is okay. We have defeated Ravana, Mother Sita is back. You can calm down, no need to be worried. And then he comes back to the shore. So like this, Govinda Hari Prabhu was reciting very nice pastimes of this great king Kulashekhara, another great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. So, and again, if we analyze the life of King Kulashekhara, how did he get such deep attachment to Lord Ramachandra? How did he get such deep attraction? It's just simply by hearing the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra day in and day out, continuously hearing again and again and again and again. That's how he developed strong attachment. So this is the way how we can also develop that same level of attachment to our Shri Radha Gopinath or Jagannath or Gaur Nitai. Every day we need to just continuously hear of their pastimes. Text 44. My dear Lord, the family upon which you bestow even a little mercy is always fortunate, for such mercy makes all miseries disappear. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, there was a similar incident concerning Murari Gupta. Formerly I examined him and his determination was similar. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is hearing about the glorious attachment of Anupam from Sanatana Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that yes, this is very glorious, and I have personally seen this in another devotee also called Murari Gupta. A similar case I have personally witnessed through a devotee named Murari Gupta. So Murari Gupta is one of the associates of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip Dham, and he is said to be none other than Hanuman. And actually, the entire Caitanya Caritamrta we have is based on the notes of Murari Gupta. So if it wasn't for Murari Gupta's diaries, we wouldn't have Caitanya Caritamrta or Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Murari Gupta, for the first 24 years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life, he personally kept a diary of all the different activities and pastimes of Mahaprabhu. And then the second 24 years of Mahaprabhu's life, Swarup Damodar, his personal secretary, he kept a track in his personal diary. So these two diaries are used to compile Caitanya Caritamrta and Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Murari Gupta, he was another great, again being Hanuman, he was another great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. And similar instance happens with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one day he starts preaching very heavily to Murari Gupta about the glories of Krishna, that Krishna is the Supreme Person of Godhead, he is the most attractive, his pastimes are the greatest, his holy name is the greatest, like this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just, verse after verse, just starts hammering, slokas after sloka, just going full force, preaching about the glories of Krishna. And then Murari Gupta just surrenders, yes, you are the Supreme Person of Godhead, I am your servant, whatever you instruct me to do, I will do. From this day onwards, I am only going to chant Krishna's holy name. So like this, Murari Gupta tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, goes home, and then he goes to bed, and he can't sleep. His whole life is just in constant anxiety. And he's crying and crying and crying. How can I give up my Lord Ramachandra? How can I give up my Lord Ramachandra? I have given my head to Lord Ramachandra. He is my master. I can't let go of my Supreme Lord. But on the other hand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is my master. How can I disobey the order of my master? I can't disobey the order of Mahaprabhu, and I can't let go of my dear Lord Ramachandra. So better I just give up my life. Better I go to Mahaprabhu and ask his permission to give up my life, because I can't follow his order, I can't follow his instruction. So in the morning he comes and he begs Mahaprabhu that, sorry, I can't follow instruction and I can't give up my Lord Ramachandra. You please give me permission to give up my life. This pain is too much for me. Then Mahaprabhu embraces Murari Gupta and tells him that, your attachment to the Supreme Lord is glorious. Glorious is a devotee who has such deep attachment for the Supreme Lord. Another instance, Murari Gupta, he was reciting Ramayana. He was reciting the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased by the pastimes being recited by Murari Gupta that Mahaprabhu personally came up to Murari Gupta and wrote on his forehead, Rama Das. Mahaprabhu personally came and wrote on his forehead. And in this way, Mahaprabhu had very nice, sweet pastimes with Murari Gupta. One time, it's given in CC that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I think it was by Sivananda Sen. Sivananda Sen brought lots of prasad for Mahaprabhu, and the prasad was very opulently cooked with a lot of ghee, and Mahaprabhu, he had indigestion. And at that time, Mahaprabhu, he goes to Murari Gupta to get cured, because Murari Gupta, as a profession, he was a physician or a doctor. And he was no ordinary doctor. CC explains that he could cure both the material disease and the spiritual disease of all persons. So materially, whatever disease one would have, he would cure that, but also he would also cure the spiritual disease of all conditioned souls, which means he will give them Krishna so they can overcome birth, death, old age and disease. So Mahaprabhu, he comes to Murari Gupta, tells him, I have indigestion, the devotees have fed me too much prasad, cooked in so much ghee, what should I do? Then Murari Gupta gives him a very simple solution. He just tells him to drink a little water, and in this way Mahaprabhu is cured. And Prabhupada explains that the general cure for indigestion is to drink a little water. Whenever you have indigestion, Prabhupada says, you just drink a little water, that will help you calm down your stomach, that will help you overcome indigestion. So that's what Murari Gupta does. So in this way there's many pastimes of Murari Gupta. There's also another instance where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his Krishna himself, all the avatars are present within Mahaprabhu. So one day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes into the ecstasy of Lord Varahadev. So Lord Varahadev is the boar incarnation who lifts Mother Earth from Garbhodakshaya ocean. So one day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes into ecstasy of Lord Varahadev and he starts shouting, boar, boar. And he picks up a water pot resembling planet Earth and he starts shouting in ecstasy. And at that time, Murari Gupta, he carries Mahaprabhu on his shoulders. Another time, Mahaprabhu, he goes into the ecstasy, or he comes to Shivasa's house in four-handed form of Vishnu. And at that time, Murari Gupta, he becomes the carrier of Vishnu. He becomes Garuda. Mahaprabhu sits on Murari Gupta's back and they start going, singing and dancing in the house of Shivas Thakur. So Murari Gupta is a very great devotee of the Lord. His pastimes are especially mentioned in Chaitanya Bhagavat, and he is given as another example of a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. Text 46. Glorious is that devotee who does not give up the shelter of his Lord, and glorious is that Lord who does not abandon his servant. So we can also become glorious if we never give up the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. So this should be our aspiration, that just like all these devotees, they have such deep attachment for Lord Ramachandra that no matter what happens, they can't let go of the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra. Even though Krishna himself, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is instructing them that let go, just worship Krishna, still they have so much deep faith and attachment, they can't let go of their Istadev. So we can also become glorious if we also have a similar attachment to our Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Okay, it's 8:30 now, we'll stop here. Yes, sir. So the Goswamis of Vrindavan, they're all Manjaris in Krishna Lila. So this particular, I'm not sure what's the specific name of all of them, but they're all different Manjaris in the spiritual, the 6 Goswamis.
Can we say that Anupama and also Murariputta, can we say that they're actually the end before the Ayodhya at the end of the
Yes, because that's their worshipable deity. So they go to Ayodhya. Murari Gupta is none other than Hanuman. So Hanuman, he eternally resides in Ayodhya serving Lord Ramachandra. So in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, that's a nice book to read which will describe about, give you a lot of details of all the different sections of the spiritual world. Like Gopakumar, as he's going up towards Goloka Vrindavan, he passes through all the different dhams. So in that there's a section where he goes through Ayodhya dham. In Ayodhya he meets Hanuman. And Hanuman is preaching to Gopakumar about the glories of Lord Ramachandra. And Gopakumar, being a devotee of Krishna, being from Goloka Vrindavan, he's not feeling fully satisfied. Initially he's happy there, but he's not feeling fully satisfied because his original position is in Goloka Vrindavan. So he starts feeling a bit dissatisfied and he wants to leave Ayodhya and go higher, towards Goloka Vrindavan. And Hanuman, he's noticing that, his faith is going lower. So then Hanuman starts preaching to him about the glories of Lord Ramachandra, trying to brainwash, Gopakumar, that you should stay in Ayodhya, Lord Ramachandra is the great. So like this, there's this nice sweet talks between Hanuman and Gopakumar in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So Brihad Bhagavatamrita especially gives a lot of details of all these different sections of the spiritual world. What happens in Dwarka, what happens in Jagannath Puri, in the spiritual world, in the section of Ayodhya Dham, in the Vaikuntha realm, Mathura realm, Goloka Vrindavan, so on and so forth.
The other thing, the concept of dasanas, how we actually say, the law actually likes a person who's a servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. So going by that example, when Anupama was worshipping Lord Ramachandra, Sanatana and Rupa Goswami would have appreciated him, right? But after all, he's actually worshipping, like we say, Lord Shiva is actually topmost Vaishnava. So when we actually see a devotee of, say, Lord Ramachandra or Lord Shiva, we should really be appreciating him, right? Only going on that level of concept. Is that okay?
Yes.
Why were they saying that, okay, you should only chant holy Lord Krishna? Why were they, Sanatana Goswami was saying to Anupama that?
Yeah, initially they were telling him of the glories of Krishna, because their Istadev is Krishna, and the Shastras clearly say that Krishna is Supreme Personal Godhead, all the avatars come from him. So initially they were preaching like that, but when they see that, okay, he's really, fully fixed on Lord Ramachandra, then they don't say anything, and then they appreciate and they embrace him that, yes, your love for Lord Ramachandra is fully pure, don't worry about changing, you just worship Lord Ramachandra. So then they appreciate and they worship their brother and they glorify. That's what Sanatana Goswami is doing in these verses, glorifying his younger brother's deep attachment for Lord Ramachandra. Same thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing for Murari Gupta, that he's glorifying his deep attachment for Lord Ramachandra. So that's said to be the perfection of life. If someone can get that deep attraction to a particular form of the Lord, that is said to be the topmost attachment. So different devotees, they have different Istadevs. They are attracted by a different form of the Lord. So if we can develop the same level of attachment, that is the perfection.
Srila Prabhupada, I think Prabhupada also said in Bhagavatam that there's no difference between Chandra and Krishna, right? I mean, Supreme Krishna.
Yeah, so Prabhupada, he would quote that verse from Brahma Samhita of the candles. There's the original candle, and then that's Krishna, and then Krishna lights many other candles. So Prabhupada said, in terms of power, like all the candles, they're the same. They're giving up the same number of light. But still there's the original candle. So in one sense, all the avatars, all the Vishnu Tattvas, they're the same. Just like Krishna, they have the same potency. Another sense, Krishna is greater. Krishna is the source from whom everyone comes from. So it's like simultaneously one and different. And it's said that the avatars, they have the same potencies, Shaktis as Krishna, just they don't display everything. But in terms of the avatars, it's said that Lord Ramachandra and Lord Nrsimhadev, they're the closest in terms of displaying potencies of Krishna.
Have they also got 6 opulences?
Yeah, they have all the opulences. Okay. Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.